Daniel Harper sat in the vast council chamber, struggling to maintain his composure. The weight of his position as Earth's ambassador seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. Across from him, the Verxian ambassador, Krell, a towering alien resembling a lizard with an unsettling number of teeth, smiled maliciously. This was becoming all too familiar. Week after week, Krell and other galactic representatives mocked Earth's attempts at diplomacy. Today was no different. Krell's voice echoed through the chamber. His words, though polite in tone due to the universal translator, dripped with contempt. He dismissed Earth's latest peace proposal as inconsequential, as if humanity's efforts were nothing but a laughable joke. His arrogance was not lost on Daniel, who clenched his fists under the podium. Trying not to show his anger, his mind wandered back to the countless times he had endured similar insults from other species. Each time, humanity had been asked to swallow their pride, to be polite, to take the high road. But how long could they keep doing this? Behind him, Lieutenant Sophie Brennan, his aide, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Daniel appreciated the gesture, but it didn't ease the frustration gnawing at him. They had been polite for too long, and the constant pattern of insult and dismissal was starting to break even the most patient. Diplomat, as Daniel finished his speech, he returned to his seat. The council quickly voted. The result was as predictable as ever. 143 votes against, 14 in favor. Earth was alone. Once again, the vote had been a foregone conclusion. The voices of the smaller, weaker species were drowned out by the giants of the galaxy. Those who controlled vast territories and resources. The rules of the Galactic Council dictated that every world had one vote. But that system had never accounted for the power dynamics between them. Earth's single vote carried little weight in a council where a single species, like the Vrexians, had multiple votes. Daniel did the math. It was a grim realization that despite all their efforts, humanity was always outnumbered, always outclassed. Back on Earth, Admiral Gregory Mason was at his desk, buried in reports detailing the escalating attacks on human colonies and trade routes. The situation had become dire. What had started as small raids on mining colonies had escalated into full-scale assaults on civilian transport ships. His aging eyes scanned the reports, worn from years of unyielding pressure. Every year, the attacks grew worse, and yet, every year, the Galactic Council did nothing. Every year, human diplomats begged for aid, and every year, they were met with nothing but empty promises and condescending laughter. Captain Nicole Brady stood in front of him, her arms crossed over her chest. Despite her young age of 35, her resolve was hard as steel. She commanded one of Earth's most formidable warships, the Defender. The frustration on her face mirrored Mason's. "How long do we keep pretending?" she asked, her voice a low growl. "They are killing our people, sir. When do we stop asking permission to defend ourselves?" Mason took a long, weary breath. The words he had longed to say for years hovered on the edge of his tongue, but he could not bring himself to voice them. The chain of command was clear. As long as Earth's politicians refused to take action, they had no choice but to follow orders. But deep down, Mason knew that every moment they waited cost lives. Until the politicians say otherwise, he replied flatly, his voice drained of emotion. He had learned long ago to accept the endless waiting, the empty promises. But something was about to change. In Geneva, President Helen Carter sat in a crisis meeting with Earth's top military and political leaders. On the screen before them was the wreckage of the New Horizon, a civilian transport ship that had been attacked by Vrexian raiders 2 days earlier. The ship had been carrying for hundreds civilians, families, children, scientists, farmers on their way to a new colony world. There were no survivors. The Vrexians had destroyed the ship with brutal efficiency, broadcasting their attack to the entire galaxy as if it were a triumph. President Carter's face, usually a mask of diplomacy, hardened as she watched the footage. The familiar flicker of anger burned behind her eyes. "We have tried diplomacy," she said quietly, her voice steady but filled with a deep weariness. "We have tried everything: sanctions, negotiations, appeals, and compromises. We have buried our dead and still they attack us." She turned to General Kevin Walsh, Earth's head of strategic defense. "Initiate Protocol Grey Dawn," she said, her voice cold and final. Walsh nodded grimly. "Yes, Madam President. No announcements, no press releases. Just do it," Carter added. "Tell Ambassador Harper to deliver a final warning to the Council. Make it clear, if they ignore this, we stop pretending to be polite." The orders were sent through secure channels, and behind the scenes, Earth's military apparatus, long considered outdated and insignificant by the galactic powers, began to stir. Hidden fleets, secret military bases on Mars, and in the asteroid belt, all began to come online. Earth's military was about to show the galaxy that it was not as weak as they had all assumed. Back on the Council station, Kelvin 9, Daniel Harper received the orders from Earth. His eyes scanned the message twice, a slight smile creeping onto his face for the first time in months. It was not the diplomatic smile he had perfected over the years, nor the polite grin of a man trying to keep the peace. This smile was something else, something colder. Sophie noticed it immediately, her hand on his shoulder tightening in apprehension. "What did they say?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and concern. "They said to give them one last warning," Daniel replied, his voice low but firm. "And they said I don't have to be nice about it anymore. The time for diplomacy had passed. Humanity's patience had worn thin. The galaxy would soon learn just how dangerous it could be when a species had been pushed too far." When Daniel entered the council chamber, the usual murmur of conversation from the various species quieted for a moment. The delegates were mostly ignoring the human section, as usual. Krell, the Vrexian ambassador, lounged in his seat, exuding the usual confidence that humanity was too weak to matter. Daniel didn't flinch. He walked to the podium, carrying a data tablet with him, and he spoke. For 32 years, he began, his voice steady and cold. "Humanity has pursued peace with this council. We have endured your insults. We have absorbed your attacks. We have lost lives, lost loved ones, and we have done nothing but ask politely for it to stop. But today, I am here to tell you that we have been wrong. We believed that diplomacy would work. We believed that patience would prevail. But you saw our restraint as weakness. You saw our civility as fear. He tapped the tablet, and holographic images flooded the chamber. Burned ships, destroyed colonies, the bodies of civilians floating in space. The wreckage of the New Horizon appeared, showing children's toys, a shoe, a stuffed animal. The chamber fell silent. Even Krell's smug expression faltered. "You thought we were weak," Daniel continued, his voice growing stronger. "That we would never fight back. You were wrong. You killed 400 civilians. You made us act. We let you believe we were harmless because it was easier than showing you the truth. But you made a grave mistake. You forced our hand." Daniel tapped the tablet once more. The massive holographic screen displayed a simple message. "See all hostile actions against human interests immediately. You have 72 hours to comply. This is your only warning." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates laughed, scoffed, and mocked. Krell's laughter filled the space like a chorus of broken glass. But Daniel stood firm. "Or what?" Krell sneered. "Your tiny fleet will send us another protest?" Daniel gathered his papers. "Or we stop being polite." Sophie, walking beside him, asked quietly, "Do you think they'll listen?" "No," Daniel replied, his cold smile returning. "And that's exactly what we're counting on." The countdown had begun. 72 hours. The galaxy was waiting for humanity's next move. But they were expecting nothing. They thought the ultimatum would be ignored, just like all the others. They thought humanity was bluffing, but they were wrong. 3 days later, the Vrexian battle group appeared in the Proxima Centauri system, targeting a small human medical station. It was meant to be a show of force, a demonstration that humanity had no power to defend itself. The Vrexians fired everything they had, confident in their superiority. But their weapons never reached the target. Every missile, every plasma bolt, every kinetic round was intercepted and destroyed mid-flight by an unseen force. Suddenly, 12 human ships emerged from stealth, their weapons systems primed and ready. The Vrexian commander, Dra, was caught off guard. "What is this?" he demanded, but there was no time for answers. Within minutes, the Vrexian fleet was reduced to scrap. The human ships moved with impossible speed, dodging and attacking with ruthless precision. The message had been received loud and clear. Humanity was no longer the weak species they had once been. They had played the game of diplomacy for decades, but now it was time for action. Humanity's rise did not go unnoticed. The galaxy had always operated under the assumption that strength was the ultimate currency. The strong made the rules. The weak obeyed. But humanity, once dismissed as insignificant, had shown the galaxy a new kind of strength. A strength born not of conquest, but of defense. And in that defense, they had found a power that no one had expected.